Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is my great honor to have this opportunity to share some industry insights in Afton's work on this platform. And the title of my today's presentation is Growth Opportunities Continue in Diesel System Applications. And my talk, I will go through those 3 points. First, we'll start with some regulatory landscape, and here particularly would like to share with you what kind of role that in particular additive play in this industry area, and then followed with some highlight the impact of regulatory landscape impact on industry, and we would like to share some of the Afton's research work and how we handle these challenges in terms of system. So we will give you some live example. And finally, we will summarize the talk with some takeaway messages, how we view the industry and what is the possible way forward. So next slide, we will start with the first part. And so before we started, we would like to ask this question, why diesel? As you all know that today's transportation sees a clear e-mobility trend across the board, from passenger car to commercial vehicle. And Afton has also actively looked at these areas, just as other industry players. Meanwhile, we do recognize the critical role that diesel is playing and will continue to play in this transportation and energy sector. So why? First, diesel is essential. The chart on the left here is a graph of gasoline and diesel sales from May 2019 to May 2020. And as you know, on March 13th, 2020, due to the global pandemic, America declared a national emergency. So lockdowns and restrictions come into place, and that's where the gasoline sales dropped sharply. But however, you also notice that the diesel sales maintain pretty much the same level. And why? Because diesel is essential. It is the one that power the economy and the society, keep us supplied and sustained. Next one is the powerful. So 97% of today's Class 8 truck is powered by diesel, 75% Class 3 to Class 8 is powered by diesel as well. And meanwhile, and the 44% of those trucks are powered by newest diesel technologies. That's also naturally bring to the next 2 attributes of diesel system, which is efficient and cleanness. And speaking of the efficient, diesel system is the most efficient way to convert potential energy to mechanical work. And diesel fuel has the highest energy density among all the transportation fuel. And funded by United States DOE, the Super Truck 2 is underway, and they have the target of 55% BTE at 65 miles per hour and on dyno. So it is a very aggressive, efficient target, and actually several OEMs already achieved or very close to this target. So we look forward to future diesel technology. It's going to be very, very efficient and competitive in transportation. And another important attribute of diesel is diesel becomes cleaner and cleaner, and will be cleaner even more in the future. So due to the regulation, driving force, and technology advancement, both engine and emission control, and also the clean fuel delivery, the cleaner than ever. So putting together, that's why we see how diesel is playing a critical role in today's society and will continue to play this role in the future. And now let's look at the regulation roadmap. And since we already have a couple of experts in this conference talking about the regulation, emission regulation, I'm not going through the details of the regulation roadmap, but I would like to highlight a few key highlights in different regions, United States, Europe, and China. In US, they have a very aggressive plan to continue to reduce NOx, and 90% reduction from today's limit which is from 0.2 to 0.02 grams per horsepower hour. And also they plan to increase the durability requirement from today's 435,000 miles to 600,000 miles, and even look forward to have these 850,000 miles after 2030. So it's very challenging for the OEMs. And also for Europe, you can see on top of the emission limits, they also have a very aggressive plan on CO2 reduction. China, not only that, they have developed their own driving cycle, China cycle, to address the driving characteristics in that region. A lot of city driving, low load, low speed driving, idling time. So all this together is going to put a significant challenge to the industry and bring about disruptive changes to hardware, especially for the emission control technologies. And we also anticipate that those changes will affect the fluid requirements. So Afton feel the urgent need to evaluate those impact on fluid requirements in order to deliver the robust solution to the industry. So next slide, we will share with you some IP analysis we did for the industry in the last 20 years and for commercial vehicle, and looking at emission and efficiency performance. And from there, we will see why we believe petroleum additives play a critical role in regulation compliance. So the left side is a cell diagram and looking at the innovation fields. So the words in the cell diagram reflect what other those patterns targeted for. So you can see the fuel and oil lubricant have been frequently shown up in this diagram. So you can see that the fluid play a critical role here. On the right side, the pie chart are showing the key industry players here. So we grouped the industry players into OEMs, tier 1 suppliers, oil companies, additive suppliers. So each one has some percentage in this pie chart. OEMs, tier 1 suppliers, oil companies, and on average about 20% in this pie chart. But additive companies take the lead by 39%. So from this analysis, you can see that petroleum additives play a critical role here. As one of the major additive suppliers, Afton is and will continue to be committed to work with industry in order to fulfill this, the regulation compliance target. So next part, we will go through some challenges, and I really would like to share a live example on how Afton to address these system challenges. As we just talked about the regulation impact on industry, it will bring about challenges to many players, hardware suppliers, fluid suppliers, testing facilities, and end-use performance compliance and monitoring programs. But we are going to here share about how we look at the system and from the fluid perspective. So this diagram, next slide, this diagram is showing the research approach in Afton, how we address system challenges over the years. And we also believe it brings us a lot of successful experience. So we will continue to use this model and to practice this work. So we constantly monitoring the trends, whether it's the regulatory side or the technology side, and to analyze that and to gain insights from those trends to forecast what's going to happen in the future. And then we develop our scientific understanding of the new system, and not just a discrete component, but on the system level. And from there, we will apply those scientific understanding to the technology level, and especially we're very keen on technology evaluation methodology development. And if we have the existing methodology, we will apply it. If today's methodology isn't sufficient or accurate enough, we will develop our own to evaluate the system. And based on the scientific understanding and the rigorous research methodology, we are going to develop and evaluate our product. And in the end, we are confidently to deliver our product to our customers. So since the diesel system, the advanced new diesel system for the future regulation compliance is still in the developing stage, and a lot of good work have come along. But today I would like to take an opportunity to share a successful story we have done in the gasoline system. So we know that the gasoline system was challenged by particular emissions, and GPF is considered as a viable and effective solution to address particle emission for gasoline system. But we monitor and trend. We anticipate that technology will come along. We work with universities and research centers to investigate the particle emissions from the science, the fundamental science level, looking at particle emissions. Then based on those scientific understandings, we realized that the GPF needs new methodology to evaluate the system. So we work with the OEMs, tier one suppliers, industry stakeholders. We engage with even legislative agencies to look at this system, and together, and based on those scientific understanding, and we develop our own research methodology, we are confidently to apply that to our product development and demonstration. And in the end, we are successfully and having these mid-step oils for our customers. So in the next 3 slides, I will give some detailed examples and specific data charts showing you how we successfully achieve this goal. And on the science level, and we know changing GPF, even as just changing a D from G, from diesel particulate filter to gasoline particulate filter, is actually a system change. But however, science states, whether it's filtration, oxidation, thermal degradation, and so on, those science are the same. It's just new system. So we apply those basic science into the new system. We know how the science play a role here, and we understand how those filtration, oxidation, thermal degradation is different when it comes to a new system. So with those scientific understanding, we realized that the conventional method to evaluate, such as three-way catalyst or diesel particulate filter, is not that suitable for gasoline particulate filter. So we work with our partners, develop our own methodology and the aging protocol, which we can successfully demonstrate durability performance of the system. And with that scientific understanding and research methodology in place, and we also correlate our work with the in-use performance, that we confidently know that this scientific understanding and research methodology can be applied to our product development and validation. So next slide, you can see with those above mentioned science and technologies, we're successfully to demonstrate our product. And not only that, we know different customers may have different needs. With those credible platform and technical confidence, we're able to develop different types of formulation and formulation styles that we can meet different customers' needs. And today, we also would like to take this opportunity to thank all the partners that we have been diligently work with in the past on address this system challenge. And this robust science and technology result in holistic solution, which is our belief. So lastly, I would like to wrap up this presentation with some messages and repeat our pathway how to address the system challenges. So this slide, and really just summarizing how the regulation has been driving the industry, and whether it's the hardware evolution, we will see a lot of changes in the hardware side and the challenges, different system, complexity, and also new catalyst technology, new chemical and physical exposure, and also the testing part, the durability demonstration. And with the extended durability requirement and the testing itself will be more challenging, and also the in-use performance requirement. And all those things together, it will going to bring multiple levels of impact as a result of these increasing emission restrictions. So we do believe that robust science is needed for holistic solution, which is actually what the industry needs. In summary, emission regulation will have significant impact on future diesel technologies. And we also introduced that IP analysis and also Afton's work showing that how fuel and lubricants play an important role in this field. As the regulation have the requirement on emission and efficiency, and we also believe that engine durability should not be compromised or even sacrificed. So that's why we strongly believe that holistic solution and rigorous research methodology are designed that will bring about balanced formulation, but that has to be based on the scientific understanding and rigorous research methodology. Next, I would like to leave a few takeaway messages for you all and for you to consider, and really hope that those takeaway messages can lead us to have some good discussion on the contents. The diesel powertrains will remain a critical part of the global ICE landscape. This emission legislation, the stringency, continues to drive development and innovation. It's going to be challenging, but definitely will bring about a lot of opportunities. Afton has a proven track record of delivering holistic solutions that meet OEM needs. And this is Afton's philosophy, passion for solution. And the triangle here is how we operate our business. And we believe it's the inspiring and enthusiastic people combined with expert and innovative chemistry, then together we bring customized and effective solutions. And that's our philosophy. We really stick to that for our business operation. And thank you all and for the attention on this presentation, and also really welcome take this time to welcome you all to visit Afton Chemicals virtual booth and hear the contacts from of my colleagues from different regions. Please feel free to visit the booth and contact them. And again, thank you very much for your attention and look forward to the discussion with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Hufang. That was really interesting. I really enjoyed the way you've explained that the development of GPFs required some new thinking on additives. I hadn't realized that that's the case, but when you explain it the way you did, it is clear that some innovation is needed for that new technology. So we've got time for a few questions before we open to the audience, and I'd love to ask you a few questions. You explained in one of your slides that there's some really tough new requirements coming for diesel engines. And given the fact that we do see a long-term role for diesel engines through the next decades, even as we decarbonize, it is clear, and I agree that diesel engines are important, will be very important throughout that process. So I wanted to ask you, in terms of the new regulations coming, there are some stretching requirements, like you mentioned the durability and related extended warranty requirements. There's also the new test cycles and in-use compliance issues like low load and low temperature operation. From the point of view of Afton, how do you see yourselves able to support some of these new challenges? How do they affect product developments and the way you support customers?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Very, very interesting question. I would say it's a very challenging question as well. I think the industry is eagerly to have the answer. But first of all, I want to say it's a system, as you mentioned, and I mentioned a couple of times so Afton we humbly here, and again, I want to thank the conference, the organizer, and very well. We humbly seek for partners to work together because we can see everybody play a role, and the interaction and working together is essential for the success. That's one thing I want to think about, the collaborative efforts. And second one, I say, yeah, it's challenging, all the things come together, especially if you want to say, I just want a low emission limit. I think it's achievable. If I say I just want efficiency, yeah, it's achievable. And I just want the durability, yes, it's achievable. But it's together, it's getting hard. It's not 1 + 1 + 1 equal to 3. It's multiple times. It's sometimes the difficulty level will probably be exponential. However, we are confident. We say we humble for on one side, but we also have that technical confidence because we believe our from additive side, I think we have the solution. We have chemistry, but we want to, for example, I gave the catalyst side. You know, if the new catalyst is needed for these emission control technology, we have ways to evaluate the chemistry compatibility, the durability. So we have chemical ready, but we needed to know the system. That's one thing I think about it. The fundamental science can be addressed on a manageable scale. And the other thing I think it's the challenge, and for us and also for others, it's a new system. Afton always keen on testing methodology development. I haven't seen any report or I would say even on the legislative level, what kind of testing will be most reliable or can reflect the real world performance. That's another thing I think we should work together and make sure our testing is not just only precision, repeatability, and having our testing data in the end, but it's actually really, I would say, accurate way to evaluate the system. So that's the thing. The other thing, I think that we talk about balanced formulation. I think there is a way to be affordable, achievable, but the balanced formulation, we have to, I talk about those triangle, you know, you have to have those balanced formulation. And so that's what Afton is doing. We take basic science very seriously. We stick with this research methodology, but also we have our candidates in terms of chemistry. So that's how we do the work, the holistic solution. Yeah.
Yeah, the system approach is so important, and I can see that it's very important that the fluid technology is not, and additive technology is not left as an afterthought through the process. It needs to be considered up front. I did want to ask you though, which of the aspects of the new emissions regulation do you think will be the toughest, have the biggest impact on operating fluids, on lubricants, on fuels, on additives? Is it the durability, or is it the operating conditions? Is it the new fuel efficiency requirements? What stretches operating fluids the most in terms of new regulation? Presumably durability.
Yeah, I hesitated to use this, we call it engineering language, to answer your question, which is it depends. You probably heard that. But however, I have to say it depends because it depends on the system and depends on the regional requirements. That's why when Afton look at the global roadmap, we also analyze the regional emphasis and priorities. Different region, like China, I would say maybe the fuel efficiency is important because not only that, you have to understand their driving cycle, right? And for US, we do see that durability requirement is because they have very aggressive plan on that.
Very much.
And in Europe, it's the CO2 emission, not only just the efficiency, but the CO2 emissions. So I'm sure OEM likely use different platforms to address each regional. So I would say it depends, but it's not like you don't know. We know it, but it really depends. The uncertainty, I would say, has some certain answer for that. But for additive company, that's why we want to work with OEMs that if you have these needs, if it's efficiency, we will have these, they're not just the low viscosity oil. I would say, lower viscosity, but also balance the formulation. But if your durability, we have to take care of the durability, more serious. So that's why we have to tailor our chemistry to meet different requirements.
So there's a much higher degree of customization than ever before. The standard approach is increasingly unproductive or unsuitable for these new varying priorities across countries and across companies. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
just a final question before we move to the audience is, in practical terms, at Afton, what kind of testing and research do you actually do in your process of working with customers to develop new products? Are you talking about bench testing, laboratory testing of the chemicals? Are you involved in real life, real world vehicle testing on the roads? What does your methodology involve?
Mm-hmm. It's all. Thank you, Tim, for that question. It's all of them. I just use my live example on GPF is like we work with tier one supply, even catalyst company to look at the catalyst compatibility. Very fundamental research, right? And also we work with university and research centers. We do the engine testing, and we make sure we can demonstrate those durability requirements on the engine. But also we do field trial, we do vehicle testing, and either on a dyno mileage accumulation lane, and also we bring the car on the road, and we do the real world testing. So it's all of them. I think in the end, we would like to give us not our own technical confidence, but we want to pass this technical confidence to our customer.
Yeah, no, I'm sure the full range of approaches is required to get to the end result as efficiently as possible. Huifang, it's been really interesting. Thank you for taking us through that case study and through your experience in this area. We're going to have time now for questions from the audience. So if you have a question, please add the question to the Q&A box, and we'll be able to address those. We're going to have a short break, after which we'll come back, and we'd love to discuss further your questions and address any issues that you'd like us to pick up on. So see you in a few minutes. Thank you.